Well, let's move on a little bit. What inspires you guys as musicians?
I don't know. Just personally, as far as drumming goes, what inspires me to keep at it is just personal improvement, trying to be a better musician, you know. But as far as playing in bands, I guess, like I said earlier, kind of wanting to hear music that I hear inside of my head, you know. Nobody else is playing what I want to hear, so I guess it's been left up to me to help make it, you know.
So, in other words, your desire to hear that perfect note is what inspires you?
Yeah, maybe so, yeah. Or that perfect song or whatever. You know?
Doug's taste, the thing I always loved about Doug's is Doug, like I said, he was in R.E.M. and he loved Queen. Queen and R.E.M. That's two.
And Black Flag and Woody Guthrie.
Yeah, Bill.
I don't see anybody couldn't.
Yeah, really. But it's those combinations that really always intrigue me about his playing.
Yeah, I've always had a real varied taste in what I listen to, for sure.
Yeah, you tell somebody tribal beat, I don't have to think something. And swing it, baby, and swing jazz, the twos and fours. But what inspires me, what always inspired me was sex and religion, the Bible, and anything that was going to, cause controversy, women, and try to invoke some kind of other response from another human being. Okay, I'll get on stage, I'll be full of makeup, and see what kind of response that comes, and anti-heroism, to be one specific, like Superman, be one specific person, have a hidden identity, my hidden identity, lawn man, working up here outside in the heat and everything. And then we flip the other side and it's just grandma freak in the side, a weirdo. Right. I like that. Right. I wanted to see that, and I haven't seen it since I started playing in this band outside of Maryland, maybe Marilyn Manson or something like that.
Right. So would you say you pursue more a shock factor in your stage presence?
No, to a certain degree, but not totally riding on it. I think that you want to shock me off.
Maybe you want coffee or got
But I think that there has to be a shock factor there. They can't just come see a show and go, oh well, that's a great show and we fit in. No, they got to be something there that you're gonna go home and tell your parents about.
It's we try to make our performances memorable, especially and a lot of it has to do with just the power of the music.
Yeah, but me as fronting a band, I want to, my idols, Alice Cooper and people like that, But then I love James Brown and Prince too, so it's like, okay, you got shock value there, but you also got precision showmanship. You want to sing as great as you can. You want to dance and perform as great as you can. You want to stand up with some drunk, flips you a bird, and kick his ass and bring everybody with a bit of lipstick on. You want to be able to do all that. But yeah.
So y'all mainly y'all want to do anything you can do to help you get noticed, memorized, and talked about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost anything.
Almost.
Yeah.
Without killing somebody.
You wouldn't bite the head off of a bat.
No, it's been done. I might bite the ass off a bat.
Right? That hasn't been done.
That's off a rat.
A rat, yeah, that's what made him rat's ass right there.
Now, that actually brings us to our next question. What influences do you draw from when it comes to your music? And does it come across in your music?
Wow.
That's a good question.
I think a little bit of everything influences us, but I don't know. We don't really sound like anybody else. We strive not to sound like anybody else sometimes.
Yeah, most.
But you can definitely hear some of the influences coming through in parts of our songs. Like Eric mentioned Queen earlier. There's a couple of songs on Songs the Belt taught us that definitely bring Queen to mind, like just certain parts of them, the way they're composed and put together.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can hear some of our influences surface from time to time in the music, but there's so many of them that you can't just really put a finger on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think the band, because we've been around a long time, a real long time, and I think that it becomes its own influence. The Unsatisfied is the Unsatisfied. It's its own entity, you know, in the same tradition as the Who or the Doors or bands like that, the real big bombastic bands that made a difference.
Right.
You know, that pretty much, you know, the influences to me are the musicians themselves. If they're influenced, you know, there's everybody in our band, like our rhythm guitar player Joel. He loves 311 and he loves, you know, all that sort of thing. And then, you know, Johnny, our lead guitar player, has been with us for 20 years. He loves, you know, Mountain. He loves Pink Floyd, and he tries to bring some of that element. So it's like everybody, with each element that you bring in there is a new dichotomy, you know. It brings in a whole new flavor, and I think if you keep that fresh and don't go, okay, I want to be the next Misfits, or I want to be the next this. Don't be the next anything. Bring those personal elements there. And you know, that's what I try to encourage, is everybody bring their personal elements to the band, and you won't lose a member if he gets to bring in his flavor or his 2 cents. Because I'm not going to criticize him for that. Maybe that might sound like something that I wasn't thinking of.
Right, and then doing that also helps you get that unique sound that's, you know, really just your thing.
Absolutely.
And that's what a lot of musicians these days, in my opinion, just don't do.
No, they don't. They hear. What I see is them. They're carbon copies of every band that's out at that particular time. They got a formula and a flavor, and they stick to it. That works great for people like AC/DC. You know, they got a great formula, and that's awesome. But you know, we're not AC/DC. Our formula is we want to evolve, and we want to grow like Bowie, like Dave Bowie. You never hear David Bowie do the same album over and over and over again. Bowie constantly grows, constantly changes, but he still keeps the essence of what he is. But he's evolved. I think
there are some things about the Unsatisfied that haven't changed in 26 years, but then there are other things that it's a complete and total evolution.
Yeah.
You know, they're totally different. But
because if you come see us, we're going to be the greatest band you ever saw. And we're going to kick everybody's ass. And we're going to be elitist with our nose stuck up in the air, and, you know.
Right.
But when we come off stage, we're going to kiss your ass because you took 5 minutes to talk to us, you know, or came to the merch table, you know. And so, you know, the new thing to us is trying to market and be business people.
Right.
That's the hard thing. The music is.
Well, the business aspect is always going to be the most difficult, apart from the writing itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great avenue to take and a great approach, in my opinion. Well, let's move on to the next question. Do you ever get writer's block?
as a band, not really, because the way that we write typically is, you know, one person will have a riff, Johnny or E.T. or Joel will have a riff on their instrument, or I'll have a beat, and we'll put that together. Eric will come up with some words either on the spot or go back through his volumes of notebooks and find some words that he can fit into what we're doing, you know. So it's when there's five brains working, it doesn't get plugged up too much, you know, because something somebody else does will inspire you to, you know.
Yeah, because you'll hear that flavor, you'll hear something, or somebody be doing something, and I'll find a melody in that where they're going, and it has a unit, it all kind of joins together, and then it builds from there. It's a great experience to be able to have that happen every 3 days.
I mean, not saying every time we put a song together it's a keeper either, but, you know, I mean, we fool around with a lot of stuff and then just shelve it, you know, and sometimes go back to it, sometimes not, you know, or sometimes we'll take a part of it that was good and put it in something else that we're working on.
It's best not to waste ideas.
Yeah,
and it's best
we try to at least keep them on the back burners enough, you know, to draw from them, if nothing else.
But as far as like writing or sitting down and yeah, I used to be regimented about every morning. I would get up and I would do my workout, and then I would get paper out and I would start writing, just try to force it. And a lot of times they'd be great. Then most of the time they'd be like some crap that I didn't even say to anybody. But at the moment I'd be, oh, this is so great. I've written something on, you know. No, a real pile of shit, you know.
Right.
You know, but it depends on your how diligent and dedicated you are to writing. as to what you're going to do. You know, I'm lucky though. I've got, like I said, I've got libraries I've been writing my whole life, and I've got things I wrote back in the 80s that I pulled out to us here recently.
Yeah.
And wow, I must have been great. You know, yeah. You go back to yourself first. You read it, think that's shit, and stay shit for about 20 years, and then you go, wait, that wasn't too bad. That actually smells pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.